Shalom to all the 12 tribes scattered. I want to share some scripture with you. The scripture is found in 1 Kings chapter 3. 1 Kings chapter 3, starting in verse 5. We're going to talk about Solomon and his prayer that the Most High would grant him wisdom. And his prayer was that he would grant wisdom to be able to help the people of the Most High, to be able to settle disputes and bring order and keep order in Israel. Now, why is that important? Because the concept, that idea of getting wisdom and be able to rule and be able to settle quarrels and restore order and keep order comes from the Hebrew word Adon or Adonay. It means, Adonai means one who brings about order by ruling and putting away quarrels or putting away dissension or disorder. He brings shalom. He brings order and peace to the people of the Most High. And that's what Solomon asked for. He asked for that kind of wisdom so that he could be a judge, king, and ruler according to the Most High and his commands. And that's exactly what Messiah, HaMashiach, did in the renewed covenant. He was a type of Solomon, but greater than Solomon. But the idea was that Messiah would do what Solomon was unable to do because of Solomon's compromise and his disobedience to the commands of the Most High. HaMashiach brought order because he was faithful to the Most High, even to the point of death. So let's look at this concept or this idea of Adonai or Adon. Let's start in verse 5. It says, And Yahuwah appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and Elohim said, Ask what I should give you. And Solomon said, You have shown great kindness to your servant David, my father, as he walked before you in truth and in righteousness, and in uprightness of heart with you. And you have guarded for him this great kindness, and gave him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. And now, Yahweh, my Elohim, you have appointed your servant to reign instead of my father David. But I am a little child. I do not know how to go or to come in. And your servant is in the midst of your people, whom you have chosen, a great people, too numerous to be numbered or counted. Shall you then give to your servant an understanding heart to rule your people? You see that? To discern between good and evil. For who is able to rule this great people of yours? That's an important verse. Notice it says to discern between good and evil, and to be able to rule this great people of yours, and to give your servant understanding to discern. That's Adon, Adonai. That is what we are to do. That's what we are supposed to pray for. Verse 10, And the word was good in the eyes of the Most High Yah, that Solomon had asked this. So Elohim said to Solomon, Because you have asked this, and have not asked for long life or for yourself, nor have asked riches for yourself, nor have asked the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself discernment, to understand right ruling. Adonai. Adon. Verse 12. See, I shall do according to your words. See, I shall give you a wise and understanding heart, so that there was none like you before you, and none like shall arise after you. And Messiah was not like Solomon. He was not an earthly king ruling an earthly kingdom as Solomon was. So Messiah, when he came to establish an earthly kingdom, yes, but at the same time installing and creating both of earthly and heavenly kingdom. He did something much greater than Solomon. So Messiah, not only did he do that, but Messiah also obeyed the Most High and never once compromised. Never once. Never. And so you see that here we see a picture of the Adonai concept or idea, that it is one who's supposed to bring order and restore peace and not bring about division, as far as the truth that the Most High wants his people to abide by. And Solomon, as I said earlier, he was already compromising his beliefs and the commandments of the Most High. So his path was already beginning to show cracks in it. So Messiah was far greater than Solomon, far greater, in a class all by himself. But the idea, the picture is here, the picture that the Most High wants us to do, because obviously we're far less superior than a Hamashiach, but yet we can, if we have this understanding, be able to rule first and foremost our homes, our marriages, and our families, and be able to teach our children the wise discernment and judgment and right rulings of the Most High by obeying his commands. And verse 13, it says, "And I shall give you what you have not asked, both riches and esteem, so that there shall be none like you among all the kings of your days." You see? Context. It's about the earthly kingdoms, kings of those days. 14. Here's the kicker though. "And if you walk in my ways to guard my Torah and my commands, as your father David walked, then I shall prolong your days." And Solomon awoke, and see, it was a dream. And he came into Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of the Most High Yah, and offered up burnt offerings and made peace offerings, and he made a feast for all his servants. Now here we see the actual Adonai concept, or the Adon concept, in fruition. Watch this. Verse 16, "Then the two women, harlots, came to the king and stood before Solomon. And one woman said, 'O my master, this woman and I dwell in the same house, and I gave birth while she was in the house. And it came to be the third day that I had given birth, that this woman also gave birth, and we were together. There was no one else with us in the house, only the two of us in the house. Then this woman's son died in the night because she lay on him.' Verse 20, "And she rose up in the middle of the night and took my son from my side, while your female servant slept, and laid him in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. And I arose up in the morning to nurse my son, and saw he was dead. But I looked at him closely in the morning, and saw he was not my son whom I had born." Verse 22, "And the other woman said, 'No, but the living one is my son, and the dead one is your son.' And the first woman said, 'No, for the dead one is your son, and the living one is my son.' And they spoke before the sovereign." So get the picture, right? These two women, these two harlots or whores, are living in the same house. The one had a child, the other one had a child. Long story short, the one harlot slept on top of her child, causing him to die. And somehow, in the middle of the night, she was able to switch the babies, where the living son became now the son of the one who had caused the death of her son, and gave the dead one to the other woman whose son was the real baby who was alive. I hope you catch that. I hope you see that. So she did a bait and switch on the woman, and now she's trying to give the impression to the other woman, no, the dead one is yours and the living one is mine, even though she was the one who killed her baby. So do you see the picture? This is a very hard case if you're a judge to try and settle this quarrel. But we'll see how Solomon does it, and we'll see the concept of the Adon ministry, or the idea that we are to do it just as Solomon was, by using discernment and wisdom from the highest heavens. Verse 23, and the king said that the one says this is, verse 23, and the king said, the one says, "This is my son who lives, and your son is the dead one," while the other says, "No, For your son is the dead one, and my son is the living one. Oh, what a drama, huh? Verse 24, and the sovereign said, bring me a sword. So they brought a sword and gave it to King Solomon. So picture this. Solomon's probably pulling out his hair like, man, these two women are driving me crazy. You know what? Enough of this drama. Bring me a sword. So the servants bring Solomon a sword. And you can see probably the great fear in some of the women's eyes. Like, no, he just didn't. What is he about to do? Is he about to kill these kids or kill us? You know, all kinds of things are going through their mind. They've never seen something like this. Never seen a king settle a quarrel this way. Verse 25, and the sovereign or the king said, divide the living child into 2 pieces, and give 1 piece to the one woman and the other piece to the other. And the woman whose son was living spoke to the king, for she was because this woman was overcome with compassion for her son. And she said, oh, my master, or my Adon, or my Adonai. This is key verse here. She's saying, oh, my Adonai, speaking to Solomon. Oh, my Adonai, give her the living child, and by no means kill him. But the other said, let him be neither mine nor yours, but divide him. See that? The mom who was the real mom of the living child said, no, don't kill him, king. Don't kill him. Whatever you do, don't kill him. Just give it to the other woman. And the other evil woman who killed her child says, you know what? You're right, Solomon. You're right. Just cut the baby in 2. I'll take 1 piece and give her the other piece. And the quarrel will be settled. But remember that the woman who had the living baby called Solomon Adonai. My Adonai. My judge appointed by the Most High to settle quarrels by using wisdom and understanding that can only come from the highest heavens, from the Most High himself. I trust you. I discern your wisdom, Solomon. I discern your ability to see through these lies and deception. Solomon, I put my trust in you, the woman said. I trust you, Solomon. The same thing that we see in the renewed covenant, where people put their trust in Messiah. They put all their eggs in one basket. No matter what people think, no matter what people might say, they will do whatever it takes because they trust in the judgment and wisdom of Mashiach. You see, the two almost are alike, but one is far greater than the other, that being of Messiah. But do you see this great story? It's amazing. Let's look at verse 27. And the sovereign answered and said, give the first woman the living child, and by no means kill him. She is the mother. Solomon was able to discern. He said, give the child to that woman right there. She's the mother. Everybody was shocked. Like, how could he have known that? Because see, the woman loved the child so much that she was willing to give up her child in order to save his life. She was willing to sacrifice her own needs for the betterment of her son, for the salvation of her son. And you can get so much meat out of this, but I want to keep it simple. The idea is that Solomon was able to discern the heart of the woman, was able to, by wisdom and by the discernment and wisdom of the highest heavens, been able to discern the hearts of these women. Amazing Adonai. Amazing Adonai wisdom. Oh, wow. In verse 28, to finish this up, it says, and all of Israel heard of the right ruling which the sovereign king had rendered, and they revered the king, for they saw that the wisdom of the Most High Yah was in him to do right ruling. This is the same thing that they saw in Mashiach in the renewed covenant scriptures. People were able to discern, they were able to use discernment that indeed the wisdom, the power of the Most High was in Mashiach. The anointing of the Most High was in Mashiach. on a level that had never ever been present. The signs, the miracles, the healings, and all that stuff no one had ever seen. Not even the greatest wisdom of Solomon was able to accomplish that. But what I don't want you to lose sight is that now the next time you think of the word Adonai or Adon, think of Solomon in this chapter and what an Adonai or Adon really looks like, and what Messiah is to you and me. He's able to discern our hearts. He is able to discern our thoughts, our intentions, and more importantly, our motives, why we do what we do. And that's why it's so fearful to be a hypocrite or to try and mock the living God. Because we have the greatest judge that has ever lived and will ever live here on earth and in heaven. Our Adonai, Yahawashi HaMashiach, the Adonai of Adonais, the Maleks of Maleks, the King of Kings. So there you go. Adonai, Adon. I hope this teaching really blessed you. I hope you got something out of it. Of course, there's far more we could have, taken out of this story and this concept. But I just wanted you to see that picture. Go back for yourself, read it, and you can get far more than I shared with you today. May the Most High shine His countenance on you, and may He continue to bless you. And continue to keep me in prayer as well. Shalom.